Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Laura and I'm the Carpe Diem Stitcher, so called because I've got so much to sew but so little time to do it in. So today I'm back with a review of what I got up to in 2022 and how far I got on with my sewing goals, and hopefully also to talk about my sewing goals for 2023. If it looks like I'm going on for too long, I might just split it and do 2023 separately, but hopefully we'll get there. So please grab yourself a cuppa, I've got mine, and settle in, and yeah, let's review how I got on in 2022 to kick off. So I have spent this afternoon putting together a set of photos of everything that I made in 2022, so I'll pop that up on the screen now. And I really surprised myself because actually I've made a lot more than I thought I had. So looking at the slide, these aren't up in the order that I made them, by the way. These are just up in an order that I thought they fitted in and looked vaguely aesthetically pleasing on the screen. So on the left at the top, you've got the Nina Lee Southbank top, and then immediately below that you've got the pyjama bottoms for a set of PJs, which are actually, the bottom is a hack of the Tilly and the Buttons Juno, and I've put the top of the Margot pyjamas from Tilly's first book, Make It Simple, on there to create a drawstring. But I also made a top for that as well, and I just haven't got a picture of the top. So yeah, so that's a pair of pyjamas. Then I've got the Uvita top, which is the one which is pink with the telephones, which are kind of made out of cats, if that makes sense, on it. And then next to that is my Sew Over It Alex dress, shirt dress. And below that is my Prima Patterns denim skirt. Then back up again is a more recent make, so that is the shirt to Stockbridge top from Greyfriars and Grace. And then below that is Steve in his Doctor Who shirt, which is made from a Simplicity pattern S9157. And then back up at the top again, you've got me holding up a Brindle and Twig t-shirt, which I made for the son of a colleague at work. And I also made the petite pegs, kind of little leggings, little shorts for him as well. And I don't have a photo of that, but again, it's a matching set. Below that is my hot coffee top. And below that is the Ellie and Mac oversized tee, and then that's on the left. And on the right is my most recent make, which I'll talk to you about when I do a next review of what I've been making. And that is the Nina Lee Southbank pattern again, but the dress made in a kind of Christmassy, wintry, Nordic-y looking fabric. And then the last three photos are of yarn-related projects. So at the top is a pattern called My Favourite Sweater, which is a crochet pattern from Katie and the Squid, which I did change around a bit on the neckline. Below that is a knitted pair of fingerless gloves, which I made for my dad about this time last year, because he was complaining that his hands were getting cold in the house. So I knitted him some gloves. And last but by no means least, we've got the Dana Cowl sweater, Dana Cowl pullover, which is by a designer called Beth Nielsen, and that's another crochet, which I finished this year. So that's everything. So quite a lot, really. I mean, okay, I'm not as prolific as I know a lot of sewists are, but I'm actually quite pleased, given that I had, you know, a couple of fairly big interruptions to my sewing year. So I'm actually pretty pleased with that, because there's more than I thought. So if you count PJs as one make, then I've got 11 sewing makes and 3 items made from yarn, although I didn't start all the yarn items in 2022. They've been going on a little while, some of them, apart from the gloves. what have I learnt? I have made an awful lot of tops. If you look, there is only, other than the pyjamas, there's only one bottom, which is the denim skirt, and there's a couple of dresses, and then everything else is a top of some description. So I think that says I probably need to start making some more clothes for my bottom half. And I'll talk about that more when I get on to my sewing goals for 2022. In terms of what I like best and least, my favourites are Steve's shirt in the Doctor Who fabric, which I was gifted by a neighbour. My Stockbridge top, which was made from a thrifted men's shirt. My denim skirt and my hot coffee top. Least favourite, this is really more in terms of sewing experience than anything else, and also based only on that photo, I don't particularly like the look of the Ellie and Mac oversized top, but I think in reality it probably looks better than that. And the sew over it Alex, I didn't particularly enjoy sewing, but it's nothing to do with the pattern and everything to do with the fact that I just kept going wrong, because I was making that over the summer when I was away, when my relative was ill, and I just kept getting it wrong because I wasn't really in the right frame of mind to sew. So yeah, so that's really kind of a very whistle-stop review of my makes. So how does that translate into what my sewing goals were? So I'll pop my sewing goals up. Sorry, I'm just moving my slide on so I can see them. So I feel like I'm doing a work presentation, really weird. Anyway, so what were my sewing goals for 2022? I'll link the video, which was my very first video, which I made in February 2022, and I'll link that down below so that you can see what I actually thought I was going to get up to in 2022. So if you haven't seen that and you're interested and you're a relatively new follower, you might want to go and have a watch of that first and then come back to find out how I got on. So let's start with the ones that I thought I actually did manage to achieve. So the first one in the bottom left is Shop My Stash and Patterns too. So I've been through and done a little audit of what I've done, and I'm only really for these talking about my sewing goals rather than knitting goals. So for 9 of the garments that I made of the 11, actually the patterns were already in my stash. So the only ones that I actually needed to acquire in order to make the garments were the kids' t-shirt and leggings, but both of those were free patterns, so that was easy. And I bought the Ellie and Mac oversized tee in a sale because I saw the one made by What Beck Sews, and Ellie and Mac had a sale on at the time, so I got it for an absolute song. But in terms of the patterns, all the other patterns were already in my stash, so I'm actually quite pleased with that. That doesn't mean I didn't buy new patterns, it just means that I haven't sewn them up yet. But yeah, so 9 of the patterns were in my stash for the garments that I managed to sew last year. In terms of fabric, I wasn't actually too bad either. And again, I'm not going to claim that I didn't buy new fabric because I did. But again, a lot of what I made was with stuff that was already in my stash. So 7 out of the 11 sewn items and pairs were from existing fabric. In fact, it's a little bit more than that, because the Juno pyjamas I had made for my aunt, a pair of Juno pyjamas in time for Christmas. And the reason that I ended up remaking the bottoms and hacking them, as I just talked about, putting in the drawstring, because the top fitted her but the bottoms didn't. So I ended up keeping the bottoms, making her some fresh PJ bottoms, and then I made myself a top. So if you look back in my videos, you'll see there's one called an unpair of pyjamas, and that's what I'm talking about in there. So I had enough fabric to make the top, but then I didn't have enough to make the legs, so I did have to buy some more. But it was a kind of unique circumstance, and then I managed to use up the remnants from that in making the kids' PJs. So I still managed to use that up pretty well. And then the Stockbridge top, the shirt wasn't already in my stash. Well, it was, but only for about 2 months before I actually made it. But that was thrifted from a charity shop for £5. So I didn't do too badly there, really. So the only one, I think, I'm just trying to think. I had to buy the fabric for my Nina Lee leopard print top, for sure. But yeah, I don't think I did too badly, really. So I'm reasonably happy. But that isn't to say that I don't need to really watch what I'm doing in terms of a stash, and I'll come back to that when I start talking about 2023. Next one that I think I achieved, and here this does kind of pull in the knitting and crochet a bit, making warm tops. So I finished crocheting the 2 sweaters that I showed you in the picture, and I would also include the hot coffee top as a warm top, which is the Made by Jack's Mum pattern, and I would include the Nina Lee Southbank top in that because it's got a kind of turtleneck, and it is actually quite a nice warm top. So I wanted to make more warm tops than that, but I don't think it's too bad as things go, bearing in mind that we had a really hot summer, so I don't think anybody was really feeling like sewing up that much for autumn at that point. So I think it's good enough, so I've given that a tick. Shirts, and actually I'd add in here shirt dresses. I like a shirt. If you've been following me for any length of time, I like a shirt. And I managed to make the shirt for Steve, the Doctor Who shirt, and I made the Stockbridge top, which is really a shirt, out of the thrifted man's shirt, and really enjoyed that. And then I made the Alex shirt dress by Sew Over It. There will be others. I've had it cut out for ages, and in fact this is on one of my, if you've seen my last video, you'll see I've said that I must finish what I've got cut out now before I go off and cut out anything else, and one of those things is a shirt, and it's a mashup of 2 shirt patterns. So I'll pop the link to my previous video down below if you want to hear me talk more about that. And I've also got the Tilda shirt dress still on the go. And I've got a couple of shirt patterns from Lisa & Co that I want to give a try as well. So there will be more shirts, but it's come off my sewing goals. But I do think that, I did tackle shirts, which is what I wanted to do, because I've done one for me and one for Steve, so that's fine. Instagram challenges. So I said I wanted to participate in more Instagram challenges last year. And again, here I've done pretty well, I think. So I did Sew Yellow for Endo. So that was my Nina Lee Southbank leopardy top that you saw in the photograph. And I did have to buy fabric for that because I don't have a lot of fabric with yellow in it. I did Sew Frugal 22, so that was the pink top with the telephone cats on it. I did some things which I think fell into the category of Sew Your Colours 22, which was the challenge that Hales was running, Hayley Moore. And I did Sew Purple to End Alts 22, which was my hot coffee top, the purple one. So I'll put pictures along as I've been talking about them again. I'll put individual pictures up. And the shirt to Stockbridge top was for Sew Upcycle 22. So that was the last one I did. So again, I think in terms of Instagram challenges, I did okay. I did say, and actually spoke about plans for Selfless Sew April. And the shirt that I made Steve was meant to be for Selfless Sew April, but I just didn't get it done in time, and I ended up posting it in early May instead. So that was fine. But I think I was probably a bit ambitious, and I just didn't get time to sew it in time to do the challenge. So that's that. The ones I didn't make are pretty easily dealt with. So in terms of doing dungarees, I just didn't get to them. I didn't have time really to think about them and decide which pair I wanted to make. Ditto jeans, though I think there is a bit of a background story with the jeans, and I did talk about this briefly when I bought my whole job lot of denim. I bought 8 meters of denim in the middle of last year, which I still haven't used. So I'll talk a bit more about why I think I've not done the jeans when we get to 2023. Activewear, I didn't make any activewear, and the simple reason was, to be honest, when I said I wanted to make activewear, I'd had a cover stitch for Christmas in 2020, and I really wanted to try sewing leggings, and I still would like to try sewing leggings, but when I look at my wardrobe, I have got 4 pairs of perfectly good, ready-to-wear leggings, which I still wear. And so I kind of thought, I can't justify having the... Sorry, my laptop's about to go to sleep. I can't justify making pairs of leggings when I don't really need them. I just didn't think that I needed them in my wardrobe at the moment. So I think that's really why I've not got round to it. I would still like to make some hoodies, because I wear hoodies all the time. You can see I'm wearing one now. This is ready to wear. Because I wear those not only if I'm exercising, so I do Pilates. I've got a reformer at home, so which is no longer in my sewing room, which is brilliant. And I also go running, but I tend to wear hoodies with jeans as well. So I kind of think for that, and because I can then have the hoodies in sort of slightly more unusual fabric than some of the ready-to-wear hoodies that I've got, I still want to do that. So hopefully I'll get to those this year. I haven't put them on my goals for 2023, but I think the leggings for the moment need to wait. And then the 2 that don't have a tick or a cross beside them are goals that I feel kind of neutral about. So I did do some of this, but not a whole lot. So I kind of thought, if I'm being honest, I don't think I can say that I completely achieved those goals, but I do think that I did some. So I don't think they deserve a cross against them, but I don't think they deserve a tick either. So in terms of the Sew From books and ebooks, I did the Sew Over Alex shirt dress, and that is from one of the Sew Over It ebooks. I think it's from, I can't remember whether it's from City Break or Work to Weekend. I think it's City Break, but I'll pop it down below in the description. But that's the only one I did. So yeah, I did it, but I didn't do a whole lot. Had I got to making the Kate dress, I think that one is from Work to Weekend. That's one of the other shirt dresses that Sew Over It has in their ebooks. And I just didn't get to it. So yeah, hopefully next year again. Pattern hacks. Well, I think I did do a genuine pattern hack on the Juno pyjamas, because as I said, I meshed it with the top from the Margot's to put the drawstring in. So I did hack those, and I added inseam pockets to the Sew Over It Alex dress, and in fact I French seamed the whole thing, and I followed a tutorial by the wonderful Sean at Kittenish Behaviour on how to do that and how to recess them a bit. So I learned quite a lot from that. So I think some people will probably say, oh well, putting pockets in is fairly easy, straightforward, so it's not a massive hack. And that's true, it isn't, but for me to do it like that and to do it kind of well, and so it worked, and get them at the right height and everything, I was pretty pleased with that. So and it was something that wasn't in the original pattern. And also the shirt to Stockbridge pattern I did follow, but it is in a sense the whole thing is a hack. So I did have instructions, which I did follow. I did make a bust adjustment on it in terms of dropping the bust darts, but I guess that's not really a hack, that's more an alteration. But I've kind of included it in saying, yes, I did a pattern hack, because it does start off with a man's shirt and it turns into something else. But as I say, I did have full instructions, but I learned an awful lot through doing it, and I am keen to see if the same principle could be applied to other garments that I've got that are too big. So that's 2022. Right, so I'm back and I've got myself a fresh cup of coffee, and I've popped my list of my goals for 2023 kind of on my laptop, which is over there. So I apologise if I look as if I'm looking past you sometimes. I don't mean to, but I've got my notes down here, and then I've got my list of goals on my laptop so I can see them, but also you'll be seeing them because I'll pop them up on screen. So you'll see when I put them up, I've gone for the same kind of approach in 2023 as I did in 2022. So I've thought up some general goals, some kind of strategies, if you like, guidelines for how I want to go forward with my sewing, rather than on the whole specifying specific patterns, because I'm really not sure and I might change my mind later on. So some of it's around upskilling, some of it is around specific items or occasions, and some of it is just things that I'd like to do this year. So let's get into it. So the first one is, I think I need to sew for who I am and not who I think I should be or who I ought to be or any of that stuff. And this, I think, is kind of in two ways. So one is, I think I need to continue to do what I think by and large I do anyway, which is to wear what makes me happy. So you will have seen in the past, and if you haven't, if you pop back and have a look at some of my other videos, you'll see fairly quickly, I have made clothes out of some quite unusual fabrics. So the one that springs to mind the most is my licorice all sorts shirt, which I love. It just makes me happy every time I wear it, but I just love the fabric. It makes me happy. I've got matching earrings, I've got matching bracelet, and I know it's over the top, and I know I'm 58, and frankly I don't care. I just really like it and it makes me happy. So I need to sew for who I am. But I think that's got another aspect to it, and I think this is probably linked to why I haven't really sewn many things for my bottom half, that I've lost my body confidence a bit, because I think I have, well, I don't think, I know I've put on some weight over the last couple of years. So, and I want to make it really clear that what I'm saying is about how I feel about my own body, and I really am not making value judgments about anyone else and whether they're happy with their current weight, or they would like to put weight on, or they would like to lose weight. This is purely about how I feel in my own skin. My weight has crept up a bit, not dramatically, but I do have clothes that I can't get into that I would like to get into, including some early me mades, and so I am going to try to lose a bit of weight, but I'm not going to put huge pressure on myself to do it. And I've decided that I need to sew for the body I have now and not wait until I've lost weight. So that said, I might give it a month or so just to let the kind of excesses of Christmas wear off a bit. But once we've got, you know, January, February out of the way, I am going to get on and I am going to make some bottoms. And if I lose weight, I'll just have to learn how to take them in, won't I? But if I've made them, then hopefully that will be easier than if I've bought ready to wear, because I'll understand the construction process. So that's one of the plans, just to accept who I am and accept my body as it is now. And basically that's why we sew, isn't it? Because we can make things to fit our body, and as long as I don't use fabric that is super duper expensive, hopefully I'll be okay. So that's the first one. The next one I'm dotting around a bit here. They're not in any particular order on the slide. I want to plan better and get a bit less distracted. So I think last year, with it being my first year on YouTube, I did get a bit kind of concerned about, you know, what YouTube content am I going to put out there, and I need to be doing every Instagram challenge going, and I need to try and make lots and lots of things. And as a result, I think I kind of thought that I could make more than I really can. Realistically, I work full time, and if you saw my video from last week, and I'll pop a link down below, you will know that I've said to myself that I must not cut out anything new other than gifts for my mum, really, until I have made everything that I've already got cut out. And that has really worked for me. Now, admittedly, I've had a week off work. Well, I've been off since 15th of December, but I've had the whole of this week off work. And it's just been me and my husband at home, and I have had quite a lot of time to sew. And you'll see if you look over my shoulder that Olivia is doing the boyfriend shirt type thing, and she's got a t-shirt that I'm making for Steve on it, which just needs some hemming and stuff on it. And I'll talk to you about what I've got through next time in a Friday sews or something. But it has worked really well. I've been head down. I've known what I wanted to do. I've got on with it. I haven't got distracted by other things. And it's been brilliant. So I think I need to try to get into that habit. Even when I'm back at work, I need to plan what I'm going to do, in what months, what challenges I'm going to do. Batch cut, and then just stick to that and not get distracted. If you see my video short, you'll see that I've now got a community tab, even though I haven't quite hit 500 subscribers yet. And I'm going to try to use that to help me engage with you more about what types of content you want to see. And a lot of you have said, I've got a poll up already, so if you go to my community tab on either a laptop or a mobile, you should be able to see it, and there's a poll up about what types of content you want to see. And so I need to be selective about what I'm going to do, and I need to really start thinking a bit more ahead, you know, a bit more of a season ahead in terms of what I'm going to make. Having said that, I do want to try this year to do some more YouTube collaborations. So I'm really enjoying working with the lovely Jess from So What If I Sew. And I have, Jess, if you're watching, been making some progress on my jacket this week. So that's really good. And I hope to get some more done on it this weekend. And there's a few other lovely YouTubers who've said that they would be happy to collaborate with me. So hopefully I'll be able to pick up those conversations with them over the next month or so and do some planning. But if any other lovely YouTubers are out there watching and would like to collaborate with me, please do get in touch with me. You can drop me a DM on my Instagram if you like. That's at Carpe Diem Stitcher on Instagram. So yeah, I'd like to do some more YouTube collaborations, and I think that will be interesting because it might introduce me to new pattern companies or new styles or new designs, and just give me a chance to get to know some of the other lovely people in this community. So yeah, I'd like to do some more YouTube collaborations. Continuing on from 2022, where I said I needed to shop my stash, and that included patterns. You'll see here I've got stash before cash. So I'm not saying I'm never going to buy a pattern, and I'm not saying I'm never going to buy fabric, because I think sometimes I am going to need to do that. For example, some of the clothes I want to make, I actually genuinely don't have fabric for at the moment. So I am going to have to go and spend some money at some point. That said, I think I need to check my stash of patterns before I rush out and buy something else when I might have got something that will do the job already. And I think I also need to try to do the same with my fabric. So I want to be disciplined about it, but I'm not saying I'm never going to buy anything new. I have increased the amount of time this week as well that I've spent populating Stash Hub. It's been set up by Blossom Sandwich on YouTube and her husband, and he's been doing the coding and stuff, and she's been doing, I think, quite a lot of the promotion of it. And it's a way in which you can log your patterns and your fabrics. And because you can do it on a mobile phone, you can then take that with you so that when you go shopping, you can see how much fabric you need. It's really good, it's really useful. One of the other things that I think going back and looking at 2022 shown me, and it was really useful for this, is that I need to think in terms of outfits and not garments. I've got loads and loads and loads of tops. Now, admittedly, I have got quite a lot of ready-to-wear skirts. I've got 2 denim skirts already before I made mine. And I've got quite a lot of jeans, although they are starting to wear out. But I need to start thinking in terms of what outfit am I going to make, and not just what garment do I fancy making. So I need to think about what things will go with. So I've come up with an overall goal of thinking in terms of outfits and not garments. So that might mean I decide to make, I don't know, jazzy trousers, but sew a plain top to go with it, or I might already have a plain top that will go with it. Or I might think, well, actually, I've got a really plain skirt and I really want a jazzy top. Or I might think, I just want plains that coordinate in lots of different shades. But I need to think more about how am I going to wear this thing, and not just, ooh, what am I going to make? One of them can be dealt with really quickly because I talked about it in my last week's video, and that's bag making. So if you saw last week's video, I showed you one of my Christmas presents, which was a bag making kit, which my husband bought me. So that's one of my goals. So I've put that down as one of my goals, but I won't spend a long time talking about it here. If you want to see the kit I got, do pop over and have a look at last week's video. Okay, what have I got left? Right, so 2 of these at least are linked. So I've got learn to fit and sew trousers and jeans. So this partly goes back to this idea about sewing for who I am. But I think also it's why I've been hesitating about making jeans and trousers. And I bought this whole load of denim, which I've already mentioned, and then still didn't sew any trousers and jeans. And I had been thinking that I wanted to go on an in-person jeans making course, but they are quite expensive. And in the end, I saw that Sew Over It had got a discount on some of their, well, in fact, all of their Stitch School masterclasses. So I think I mentioned this in a previous video, but I bought 2 of the online classes. And I bought the one about how to make your own trouser block, and also their one about how to make jeans. So I'm going to sit down and I'm going to follow those, and hopefully that should enable me to come up with a trouser block so that I'll have more confidence about how to fit myself in terms of trousers and to make a twirl. So I'm going to try and sit down and do that at some point fairly soon, certainly the trouser one. And then hopefully that will mean that I can then get on and sew myself some trousers. So the Victory Patterns trousers was a case in point. So I'm just waking up my laptop again. But I also really quite like the Merchant and Mills Quinn pattern, which I don't own. So I can't promise not to buy it, but I'm going to see. In terms of jeans, the Sew Over It course actually also includes the Sew Over It Ultimate jeans. So I might make them, but I might use the course to follow along and make a different pair. So I really still fancy doing the Itch to Stitch Mountain View jeans, which doesn't have, it's got a faux fly front, so I'll pop a picture up there. And I know I've talked about that before. And I also really want to do this pattern, which I mentioned in last year's sewing goals. I want to do, which view is it? View B, the bootleg jeans, and I've got the denim for that already. So yeah, hopefully I will get those done. And Whitney, Tomcat Stitchery, has done a sew along for these. So hopefully between that and the trouser fitting and jeans masterclasses, I'll be okay, and I'll get on and do it this year, because that really is something that I do want to do, and I think I just need to stop being scared. It's only fabric, and just give it a go, really. So that's another of my goals. Linked to that, and maybe something, it's interesting because I tend to think dungarees and a jumpsuit, which is the next goal, dungarees and a jumpsuit, might be easier to fit than trousers, but I'm not sure, because I've seen some people say, well, actually, no, you should learn to fit the trousers first and then you just put the dungarees over the top. So we'll see. But yes, I would like to do some dungarees, and I have got already the Myla, the Tilly Myla. So I think hopefully, although they are quite slim fitting, I think if I size up, they should still hopefully fit me. I keep getting really tempted to get something like the Heyday dungarees. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to knock you. I was just popping the Tilly pattern down. So yeah, I've been resisting the Heyday dungarees. Or I could just make the Stitch Sisters Sew Your Own pair of dungarees. And I've also got the Victory Patterns one, which I really like because it's got the zip down the front, and I used to have a pair of dungarees like that when I was about 15, 16, and I really like them, which I know I mentioned in my video this time last year. So this year I just need to get on and make them. In terms of jumpsuits, I own the Zadie, but I haven't felt that drawn to making it, particularly. Maybe it's just the time of year. I think maybe that might be something more for the summer. But I bought last year, I bought the Fibre Mood layer jumpsuit, and I also, at the time of doing the So Frugal 22 challenge, I also learned about the Forest jumpsuit by Mood Society. I think it might have been Adam Sows who mentioned it. And so I downloaded that, and I'd really like to try to make one or both of those. So yeah, so the Forest jumpsuit is a free pattern. The only thing is that it doesn't come in an A0, so if I make it, I'm going to have to print off the A4 and stick it all together. But those are the two that I'm thinking of at the moment. Okay, so what does that leave me? One final one. I've got a wedding to go to. I am hoping to be able to make my own outfit for the wedding. My current thinking is I've got a couple of patterns that I might try and look at. So that's the first one. So this is a Vogue as well, and I bought this in a sale. This was an object lesson in being really careful. I bought it in a sale of Vogue patterns in America, and then had it sent over, and the customs charges probably just made it so expensive that actually it wasn't really worth it, and I should have just not bought it, or certainly bought it in the UK. And this is V1593, and it is a pattern designed by Paco Peralta. So I really like this. I don't know how well you can you see that? It has a zip that goes all the way down the side. If I show you the line drawing, actually, there you go, you can see it better. So I really like that. The only thing is that I think if I were to make it, I would try to hack it so that I could put some sleeves in it, because I'm not great at sleeveless. Don't particularly like wearing sleeveless. So if I could put some sleeves in, I might think about that one. So that's the first one. So this is the possibility for a wedding guest outfit, and it's the Liberty Florence Palazzo trousers, top and shorts. So if I made it, I'd pretty much do the version that's on the front. And I know I've shown it to you before because it was something I debated about for the engagement party. And I think because it's July, if I make that in a fairly light fabric, it might be quite nice. So it suggests cotton silk, linen and light velvet. So I'll show you the line drawings. So I think I would make the little crop jacket and the wide leg trousers if I do it. And I know that this is a re-release of a previous, I think it's a Vogue pattern, I can't remember, but I did find the details once before, so I'll pop that in the description box for you as well. And I also have a jumpsuit, and if you watch Jess from So What If I Sew, you'll know it because she's made it a couple of times. She's made it for her graduation outfit. And I really like that jumpsuit. And I own the pattern for sure because I got it free with a sewing magazine, but I can't find it. I'm sure I've got it though. So I'll put a picture up in for now, but that might also be a possibility. One pattern that I don't own and I keep thinking about, and I've got quite close to buying a few times, is the Hughes dress by Friday Pattern Company. Really like the look of that. I really like the cinched in bit at the back with the laces. So if I decided to buy something, that might be something to think about. And because I don't necessarily want anything super formal, because it being a summer wedding, I think it might be quite warm, at least if we're lucky and it doesn't chuck it down with rain. It's going to be in Yorkshire. And yeah, if you've got any wedding guest, I should say, patterns that you can recommend that I might have a look at, do please let me know. I'll try and vlog nearer the time about what I'm actually going to do, what patterns I've looked at more closely and what I choose to do. So I'm going to try and get onto that. Wedding's right at the end of July, so I'm going to try and get onto that by around April, I think, and hopefully have something ready to wear to the wedding. So that's it. That's all my sewing goals. So I would be really interested to know what you think of those and whether you share any of those goals or whether you are doing a traditional make 9 in terms of garments, or have you picked fabrics, or I saw Adele, So for Serenity, has done a make 9 where she's talking about upping her skills and picking different skills that she wants to do. So I think there's lots of different ways to do it, and I'm hoping that this one works for me. And as I say, when I came to do this video, I thought I really hadn't hit anything from last year. So to feel that I actually hit 6 out of 9 of them to some degree or other is actually not bad. So I'm feeling encouraged by that, particularly because last year, as you know, for me was not a great year in terms of continuity of sewing, and just in terms of my life in general was a bit sad at times. I'm hoping for better things this year. So I think all I can do is end by wishing you all a happy new year. If you like what you see, please give me a thumbs up below, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Also, please let your friends know about me if you think they'll like watching my videos and they don't know about me already. And I shall see you again in my next vlog. Bye for now.